Let's check in with the doc and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.
All right, got Pastor online. Morning, Courtney. You good? Good morning, Pastor.
Hey, good morning, Danielle, and good morning to all in the studio and all in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the many people who, I presume, listen elsewhere outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A blessed Thursday morning to you. Actually, I sent out a notice this morning and said that today was Wednesday, and someone promptly corrected me that today's Thursday.
It is.
Time is flying. I hope that all my listeners, that you can find something to give God thanks for. Even if you are not believing God, you still can have a thankful heart for something, whether for life, breath, job, family, friends. Find something to thank God for. It keeps you positive and also keeps you appreciating what you have, which are good qualities. I'm sure you would agree, Daniel.
What are you thankful for, Pastor?
I'm thankful for life. I'm very, very thankful for this opportunity to get beyond my four walls and to. I really appreciate that people take time in their day to listen to me. And some agree with me, and some don't agree with me. I am thankful for both, because those that agree with me, I feel like, okay, I'm resonating there. Those that don't agree with me, they make me stop and think. And where would we be without people like that, Daniel? You always appreciate. I told my leaders the other day, I think I may have said it online too. I said, don't get too caught up in those that are agreeing with you. Pay a lot of attention to those who are not agreeing with you. That's where you learn new things. You don't get a whole lot out of listening to the choir singing your praises.
Makes sense.
Because you sing the same old songs. Listen to somebody who doesn't agree with you. It will push you in new directions. It will just make you better, especially if you can handle it well. I have found that, not many people, unfortunately, can handle criticism very well. They don't know how to. I teach this. You just leverage the thing. Criticism is an opportunity. Never let one criticism go to waste. That's your collateral right there. Bing knows that I tell him this all the time. Man, it takes opposing wind to make your kite rise. And if you're not getting any opposing wind, your kite is going to be flat. It's not going to be rise. So be thankful for the opposing wind. You're going to rise. So, but I pity. Well, I say I pity. I like teaching people how to leverage criticism. It's it's fuel. It's air in your sail. It's really a powerful thing. Criticism that is handled very, very well. It's such a platform. So leverage it and use it well. I hope I said something that may have helped someone this morning. But today I have a Daniel, by the way, I hope that helps you too. I don't know if you've ever been criticized, but I hope that helps you too.
Thank you.
I have a serious note for us in media today, and it's about the danger of false reporting. And I'm going to include myself in that, because we have such a platform and we have such a position. Some people respect us and some people listen to us and some people depend on us and take their cue from us. So we have to be very, very careful. And so I have some concerns about false reporting or misleading commentaries, along that line. How we use this opportunity and the time that is given to us, and what we say, what we comment on, and how we comment. This is actually a major matter. The whole matter of false reporting is actually it is so major that God takes time to deal with it. This is crazy, but this is true. You would think that God would have, other things in mind, but God is very concerned, and He let His thoughts be known how he feels about false reporting and false commentaries in Romans chapter 3. And I hope some people will write these down, because it's a serious matter with God. And to me, God matters, and how he thinks, or what he thinks about what I am doing really matters. In Romans chapter 3 and verse 4, he says, look, you have to be careful. This is actually what he says. You have to be shown to be right when you speak. So those of us who have this position, this platform, really need to bear that in mind. We can't just speak our opinions, our facts, what we want, our objectives. Ultimately, what God expects from us is that we have to make this effort to be right, doing our homework, checking the facts, fact-checking and all of that. Invariably, there are times when we are going to mess up and, say something wrong. But our MO should always be try as much as possible to be right when we speak. So that is something that I bear in mind. This is driven not by man, this is driven by God. In Numbers chapter 13 and verse 32, there's another one. I just have 4 of these, so that's the second one. Numbers chapter 13, verse 32. It's a very interesting one, because God had set up the people to move in a particular direction of progress, the country, progress for the country. But would you know, Daniel, that right in that same country, that same nation, Israel, there were some naysayers. And there were some people, just one or two, who had a real good vibe and a real good clarity of direction. And so the man, come on, this is the right way. But the naysayers and the fearmongers actually had a greater voice. There were more of them. And this is actually in the Bible. And they actually generated and spread a false report of fear, and we can't do this, we can't move in that direction, that's dangerous. And the report gained a lot of traction. It's not that there weren't 1 or 2 people trying to hold on to a good report, but there were so many of the people there who were holding on to a bad report. We can't do this, this is going to be devastating for us, why we want to do that? Ultimately the country moved with the naysayers and moved with the negative people. And that was devastating, because it set the country on a wrong course for 40 years. You have to be very careful if you're going to listen to the good report of the 1 or 2, or you're going to listen to the negative report of the majority, the powerful majority. Here's a third passage. Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20. Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20 is a very meaningful passage, and it guides me a lot, and people should write that down and take note, because the Bible says, God says, because he is so concerned about false reporting, misrepresenting things, being disingenuous, he's really concerned, and it's a grave sin with him. He says, listen man, you are doomed. You read it for yourself. It says, you are doomed when you take evil, bad things, and call it good and say, yeah, that's good. And then you take good things, a good report, and you say that's evil. That's damnation on you. If you take something that is good and call it evil, God says that's just wrong. If you take darkness and you say, boy, yeah, that's the light we need, that's wrong. Or if you take light, which is hope, and you curse it as if it is darkness, that is wrong. If you take bitter experiences and devastation and say, yeah, that's sweet, or if you take that which is sweet and hopeful and you say that's nonsense and it's bitter, read Isaiah 5:20 for yourself. God is concerned. He's really, because these things can push a nation on a particular course, false reporting, giving false direction. So you have to call things the way they are, and you are doomed when you don't. Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 1 is probably one of my favorites, because I am on media every week, multiple days a week, and I ask myself the very question that is asked in Isaiah chapter 3, verse 1. It exhibits a concern, an awareness that there are going to be people who will bring good report. There are going to be people who will bring good report. But it also acknowledges the awareness that there are people out there who will not want to believe your good report. Even if you have the best report, the best news, the best of everything to say, God acknowledges, listen, there are going to be people out there who will not want to hear your good report, who will not acknowledge your good report. In fact, the question that is asked there is, who will believe my report? And I've heard people spin that and ask, whose report will you, whose report will you believe? So I brought that up this morning because this matter that we're dealing with, the coronavirus pandemic, it is such a weighty matter of such immense gravity, not in St. Vincent merely, but in our global village, in our world, that we have to be very careful that we, as God is saying, not as I am saying or others are saying, but as God is saying, we have a responsibility to call this thing right. Call it right. Like I read, you have to be shown to be right when you speak. Don't give false report. You are doomed if you take that which is evil and call it good. You are doomed if you take that which is good and call it evil. So on the matter of the coronavirus, applying what God himself has said and the cautions that he has given, we have a responsibility as, I'm not a journalist, I'm just a commentator, but people in the media have a responsibility to be factual. You have to be factual. Sift through things and realize, okay, that's conspiracy, that's nonsense, that's hearsay, but this is factual. We have a responsibility. We have to be responsible with what we know and how we share it. We have to be very responsible. We also have to be very discerning because there's going to be a lot of stuff out there to sift through. So we have to be very discerning with what we bring to the fore, what we highlight. And at the end of the day, driving all that we are saying must be an agenda of being helpful to people. And so we think through, okay, if I say it this way, if I say it this way, how helpful is this going to be to the people? Again, these are things that are very much weighty matter with God, which is why I took the time at the preface to show us how God feels about the matter of false reporting versus good reporting, to know that he actually deals with it in the Bible. Daniel, so understanding all of this, for my part, I have tried to be very careful throughout this whole process. In fact, you would know because I think just about every day I've commented, you would know that I try not to say too much. In fact, for most of my programs, I've been asking questions. Even when I began asking, is the coronavirus going to behave the same way in the tropics? I asked that. Ultimately, about 3 weeks after asking that, I got the answer. And that the answer was no, it's not going to behave the same way. I asked her about the relationship of the temperature with coronavirus, and then I got the answer afterwards. I asked her about whether there's a breaking down of the lipidity, the outer layer. I actually asked that. I posited it as a question to begin with in the tropics. So I've been asking questions, and little by little, the answers have been coming in. I find it safe ground to ask questions. First of all, given the fact that I'm a pastor and there's some baggage related there, you're not the most popular guy, so you say something, you don't say something. So it's better to just ask questions. So I've learned that. So you would know that throughout this process, I have asked a lot of questions. Now, why am I asking these questions? Because I believe that people can think when I ask the questions, when I ask a question, and people can come up with answers. And in fact, an old adage, which teaches me and teaches us that people get more value out of the answers that they come up with rather than answers you give them. And there's more benefit to somebody finding something for themselves rather than me telling them, which is why very often I would say something and I would say, go look that up for yourself, go look that up. Because I know that a man convinced against his will is a man who needs convincing still. So I don't really, try too hard to convince somebody. I will ask them questions, and they ought to go and look it up, or they can answer it based on how they're thinking. Now, what I have found out, as I move into my close, what I have found out is that some of these questions that I ask are very annoying questions.
Why would you say annoying?
Because people don't, and the thing is, they're uncomfortable because put people in a position to come up with their own answers. And the questions themselves are not really annoying. You know, what's really annoying is the answers that people come up with. And when they don't like the answers that they come up with, they get very annoyed. Let me show you what I mean by that. Here's, for example, yesterday I asked some questions, and when I asked these questions, you know that I asked about 7 questions yesterday, and as I said, I rather than go on and say this and say that, I decided, boy, I will ask a lot of questions. But you have no idea how many people were annoyed, and you know, want to cast shade and all of that. But it's like, I didn't say anything. I just asked questions. Be upset at yourself because of the answers you came up with. Let me show you. Here's one of the questions I asked. Do we have a warped reality of the story of the impact of the coronavirus in St. Vincent? I just asked that, yes or no. What is our reality? That's the question I asked. What is our true reality? Just in Vincent. I am not talking New York, like I said. I am not talking elsewhere. Just a question, Daniel, that I asked. And because you asked me, why is the question annoying? Think of it. Listen to the question. What is the true reality of how the coronavirus has affected us so far? That's annoying because it forces people to answer. It forces people to speak the truth if they want to. It forces, I didn't ask this yesterday, but it forces people to ask themselves the secondary question. Why and where are they hiding the dead bodies in St. Vincent? Why and where are they hiding these dead bodies? Why are they hiding, and where are they hiding those who are on ventilators and respirators and the other sick people? See, it forces people to do that. It forces people to answer these things. What is our truth?
I don't think that will be where my line of questioning ventures to, if I were to answer that question. But I do have something that someone on WhatsApp wants to ask you. So I know we're out of time, but I really want to get this question in, okay? Hello, Pastor Richards. Is it fair to say some of the good things that COVID-19 had brought to SVG are reduction in crime, decrease in child molestation and rape cases, or is it not being reported? I would like to hear your thoughts.
Actually, I said, and I had a good conversation with a friend of mine, it's not just in Vincent and the Grenadines. It's many, many places. I'm not glorifying coronavirus, but there have been so much good that have come out of this. Some of you have seen in terms of the environmental impact, the reduction in pollution, the effect, congestion, especially in urbanized areas, has a not necessarily deleterious effect, but it has a devastating effect on social life. And so this spacing out, giving people a chance to breathe, giving your society is breathing, and it's very refreshing. Many refreshing things. People are learning. Like I said, the technological capacity that had been there but underutilized. I use the example of a house with a massive house that people have been choosing to live in the basement. Now they are coming out and exploring all of the house, and they realize, wow, we have a wonderful house. We can utilize the other space. I can go on and on. There have been many, many, many really good experiences coming out of the COVID. But the question then that we want to ask, which is one I asked yesterday, why is CNN and most media outlets using only negative, and this is a powerful question, by the way, and I'm not giving the answer, I'm asking it, why is CNN and most media outlets using only negative, what I call negative anecdotal referencing? Why? I mean, and I listened again last night because, and I listen every day, and every anecdotal references to family last night. They had a Trini on, a Trini and his son. The son is an Eagle Scout or trying to be an Eagle Scout, and so that was interesting. But it was an issue. It was another negative issue where the son had to revive his brother, and every night you're going to get something like this. You are not getting any positive anecdotal referencing. And so my question is simply why? And then I ask, is there an ideological battle related to the coronavirus. Last night, again, that became very evident on one side of the trench in this ideological battle, and I think yesterday I said from my angle there seems to be, yes it is, because from one side you're hearing Rush Limbaugh and others dealing with this whole numbers. The numbers are over-reported. The numbers are inflated for a purpose. Why? And then from the other side of the fence, you are actually hearing, no, the numbers are underreported. We want more numbers. Go back and recheck everybody who has died over this area, over this period. There's going to be 10% higher, 15% higher. We need more numbers. And so you get this ideological battle that is going on. The trenches have been dug, and people are taking up position on one side or the other, which is tragic. Because coronavirus doesn't know ideology. Coronavirus is a real thing, and it is affecting people's life. It has caused death. When we examine our context here in St. Vincent, I keep saying I have reason to be thankful, because what could have happened here, as far as I can see, we just have reason to be thankful, but we don't want a situation to break out here as has happened elsewhere, which is why we have to be on our guard. So I asked a bunch of questions, and I just want, people to answer. I think the most poignant of them was this one: is our fair and a quiet fear? Are we fearful and cautious because of what's happening currently in St. Vincent and how devastating things are? It's just a question. Like I said, it's annoying to people, but it's just a question, so you could answer it either way and be okay. But is our fear and a quiet fear? Is it because of what's happening in St. Vincent, or is it because we acquire it because we listen to so much of what is happening elsewhere, the real stuff that the coronavirus has done elsewhere? And so we are driven not so much by how things have unfolded here, but we are driven by how things have unfolded elsewhere. It's just a question. So as we go into this weekend, I just want to continue to urge us to be very contemplative and reflective and thoughtful. Don't swallow the Kool-Aid. Don't drink it. Not everything that is, and don't mix it with ice either, because we are thirsty for news. Don't take poison, mix it with ice and drink it. It will still kill you. So be very selective as you listen, to commentaries, or as you listen to the news report and all of that. But you are Vincentian. You're smart. You can think. All right, please do that. And ultimately, penultimately, please be cautious, because there's such uncertainty yet here. Again, I keep advocating the wearing of masks until we know better down the road. Please, I see too many Vincentians not wearing their mask. Wear the mask and continue to sanitize and wash, and be very careful with the space until we know better. And ultimately, be thankful that God has chosen to keep you in good health and to give you life, and don't take that too lightly, and don't be too cavalier with it. Be appreciative of how God has been keeping us, and let us be vigilant that things will continue along a relatively good course. I wish you all a wonderful weekend.
All right, thanks a lot, Pastor.
All right, take it back.
Okay.
Let's check in with the doc and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.